Cashing in on the Bitcoin boom, interest in the virtual currency has surged since the banking crisis in Cyprus. But is it a realistic substitute for hard cash, or is it a bubble about to burst? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Fawzia Ibrahim. It is a form of internet cash, a virtual currency that can be traded online, and Bitcoin has been taking off. Now, from just $2 2 years ago, the value of the cyber cash has hit a record high of almost $150. The financial crisis in Cyprus has driven many people to seek out alternative homes for their cash. Some investors in the Mediterranean island nation stand to lose up to 80% of their savings as part of strict conditions attached to a $13 billion bailout. And there are fears other countries could suffer the same fate. It's shaking consumer confidence in traditional banks and adding to a surge in trading in these so-called bitcoins. So let's find out just exactly what they are. Well, the virtual currency has been around since 2009, launched by an anonymous online community. It's out of reach of any government or central bank, and because bitcoins are effectively stateless, they cannot be taxed, frozen, or easily traced. As a virtual currency, bitcoins can, in theory at least, be used and exchanged anywhere in the world. And it's because of all this that there's concern, too, about the use of bitcoins in activities like drug dealing and gambling. Then there's its vulnerability to cyber attack. Now, on Wednesday, online services and exchanges dealing with Bitcoin did come under sustained cyber attacks. Now, it led to the value of Bitcoin to drop by almost 20%. Now, it is thought that the hackers may have been trying to manipulate the prices, forcing them down, buying up cheaper coins, and waiting for the value to climb back up again. So let's bring in our guests today. Now, in London, Amir Attaki is the principal at the British Bitcoin exchange Intersango. From New Delhi, Pavan Dugal, a technology expert and cyber crime specialist. Also in the British capital, Hugo Rifkin, a columnist for The Times and The Spectator. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us. Amir, let's get to you first. Now, in normal people speak, can we say, what would one use Bitcoin for?
For preserving your freedom of financial speech. It's the first time that we have actually a currency which is not controlled by any central bank or any central party. The real criminals are not the people that are using Bitcoin. The real criminals are the guys who are wearing suits and going around Wall Street and every day scamming people. You know, you only see what's happening now in Cyprus, where every account over 100,000 euros, they're going to take a haircut of 20% from the Bank of Cyprus and use that to bail out the banks. That's from normal people. That's a normal family working 10 years. And all the oligarchs and corporations have already moved their money out.
Amir, that's a very good point. So Hugo, can I just bring you in here? Now, we've got, it seems like an easy cashless system here. Sure. No one is beholden to banks here. You've got control of your own money. Seems like a good system.
I think it's in many respects it's a great system. It all depends on the state you live in. I mean, states do. We can certainly argue that states do malign things with our money. The thing that worries me slightly, and I'm certainly not anti-Bitcoin. I find it's a very exciting technology. But the thing that worries me slightly is the states always do good things, or also do good things with our money. States, they give us hospitals, they give us police forces, they give us stability. They provide us with property rights would not exist without the state. Without wars. Property rights, without property rights, someone could come into our home and take our bitcoins at gunpoint anyway. So I worry about a future. It may not be the Bitcoin future, but a future in which states have no power in which to raise taxes, because I think that will leave us all the much poorer in our lives.
You're talking about a possible state of anarchy. Is that what you're trying to say? Amir, what would you say to that?
I'm saying it's going to happen. You know, we have 3D printers already, and there's a guy in the US who's 3D printing guns. So the question is not a question of like, oh, whether that will happen or not. It's something that's going to happen. You know, we're at the forefront of this huge technological change, which is coming to the culmination right now. And the thing is actually, people in general are good. People who say this stuff, they're questioning, saying, well, you know, I don't think people are good in general. I think if you empower the general population of society, you're empowering mostly good people. You know, and technologies like Bitcoin, I love hospitals, and you know, schools are important for society. And we can create that with Bitcoin, but we can have publicly funded good without a central authority. Now, tax it. Every time you make a payment to someone, you're saying, I give consent to that person to keep doing what they're doing. I like what that person is doing. And with the taxes thing, the enforced payments to the state, the majority of that goes towards wars. There's a lot of bad stuff that's always also funded alongside all that good stuff that we like. The question is, how can we make that more consensual so we can fund the good things but not the bad things?
Amir, there's also a question of legality here. Now, Pavan, I want to bring you in here. Talk to us about the legality of Bitcoin. How does that work?
Well, currently it's one particular system that's come up which has got huge number of legal, policy and regulatory issues. First and foremost, is Bitcoin legal? Now, can it be enforced in any jurisdiction? Because no law anywhere in the world has been enacted which directly impacts Bitcoins. More significantly, in which jurisdiction will a dispute arise should there be a dispute pertaining to payments made by Bitcoins? And who is the legal authority that's going to stand to show the guarantee that should whatever happen, the inherent monetary value that's intrinsic in the Bitcoin will ultimately stand transferred from one computer system to another computer system, or from one computer network onto another network, at a time when Bitcoins itself are under tremendous attacks from cyber criminals, cyber terrorists, cyber security, and its connected legal aspects bring in huge challenges as far as Bitcoin is concerned.
Amir, what were you about to say there? I just saw that you had something to say.
Yeah, the thing with the regulators, you know, they shut down my bank accounts last September and they blacklisted me. I also had like cybercrimes police waiting for me in the ferry terminal and questioning me, you know, even trying to get me to join them, harassed by police and stuff. But so what? They can't do anything to touch Bitcoin itself. Like, I've been traveling all around Europe and all around South America just trading Bitcoin. I didn't go to any bank, financial corporation, I didn't go to any cash exchange, and I exchanged my Bitcoins for local currency with no fees whatsoever. This is not some theoretical concept. It's $1 billion economy. It's here now, it's working. We have charts, graphs. You know, in London alone, there's over 60 different traders. It's actually a working economy. Well, you know, it's really powerful stuff, you know. Anyone could go on the internet, get set up with Bitcoin right now, start accepting payments within 5 minutes from anywhere in the world, doing business with anyone in the world. Iran, Ethiopia, Kenya. You know, PayPal blocks access from over 60 different countries alone. And Visa and MasterCard and PayPal have an effective monopoly, so they do whatever they want. They block access to political organisations like WikiLeaks or Mega Upload, yet they keep serving neo-Nazi websites or the KKK. It's clearly political.
Well, there's something that I would like to add in here, which is that the nations states are clearly watching, because ultimately Bitcoin is nothing but data and information in the electronic form. And different national legislations across the countries are already covering data and information in the electronic form. So it's only a question of time before nation states come in and say, hey,
to stop it? It's
well, they're going to say it's working. The question is, they will want to come in and have their own pie share. They would want to say, come on, give me my pie of the share. Let me take this pie and use it for proper public good purposes or whatever.
If everyone
that's not how it works, but that's what the nation states want to go.
Nobody can stop them. It's like just working. It's like here now, people are doing it, and it's just going to grow, and it's growing more powerful every day.
Well, Hugo, can I just bring you into this discussion? I just want to quote something that you said in one particular article. You said that this was always a political project, not an economic one. Just expand on that for us.
Well, it's exactly what we were talking about. It's about removing control of wealth from countries and from banks. It is about individual liberty. I mean, so much of what the internet does in its transformational power on society, in its revolutionary power on society, really is about individual liberty. Bitcoin is really the point at which the internet does for banks what Napster and the likes did for the music industry. You know, it's an incredibly empowering tool for individuals. However, as I said before, what troubles me is the point that there are some aspects in which we are not at our most powerful as individuals. There are some aspects in which, as individuals, we need some protection. I mean, your guest was just talking about traveling around the world, trading Bitcoin for local currency. I think that's wonderful. I think it's great you can do that, particularly if people who are in a country where it's hard to get the currency out of the country. That's fantastic. However, I'm interested in what would have happened if he'd been in, say, Brazil, and he'd made a deal to swap some Bitcoin for local currency, and someone had reneged on that deal or had defrauded him in some way. I'm interested in knowing what his recourse would have been, and whether he thinks it's good that he wouldn't have had one.
Amir? What would you say to that?
Yeah, there was a guy recently who posted on the internet that he went to do a Bitcoin trade and someone robbed him of like $80, you know, and there were there was a guy and he just sent to him 1 Bitcoin, like right there, repaid what he had stolen off him. And there were lots of comments saying, oh wow, this is awesome, this is amazing. And one comment I liked said, this is what I like about Bitcoin the most, the micro-philanthropy, because when everyone is sharing, it encourages others to share. So the way to solve this money issue,
you surely can't believe that the whole world is going to function on that basis.
The whole way to solve it is not to say we need stronger authorities. It's to say that we need to empower people. You know, we need to say that people can form their own networks of trust. You know, that people can share amongst each other on the internet. The internet has a big problem right now. How can we fund a lot of this infrastructure? You know, like you see advertisement. That's not going to last forever. The Wall Street Times is shutting itself off behind a paywall. Yeah. You know. We need to actually have something that works, and PayPal just doesn't cut it, you know. It's got massive problems.
But ladies and gentlemen, but I would like to say that, look, today we are at very early days. It's begun in 2009, it's 2013. The system has yet to evolve its own intrinsic mechanisms of how to deal with disputes. No disputes have not yet come up, good enough. But there is no guarantee that these disputes won't come in. It's only a question of time before cyber criminals and cyber terrorists permeate through the system, pick up the bitcoins, and use it for a variety of criminal activities, money laundering activities, and activities that are targeting the sovereignty, integrity, security of sovereign nations. So it's only a question of time that this entire community comes up with an appropriate...
Banks are doing it on a massive scale already. Banks are like, you know, did you hear the story of Natalia Mora, this Russian journalist who wrote about how Raiffeisen Bank was laundering like billions on behalf of Russian oligarchs, and then the head of the Russian central bank discovered this, and he was shot a few days later, you know. Banks and big guys in corporate are laundering money all the time. They already have that there. How about we bring that to common people, so that, you know, when you have a situation like Cyprus, where they're going to decide to suddenly dip into everyone's bank accounts, and already the oligarchs and corporations have moved away, now the common people also have an option to launder their money away, to stop their money being used to bail out banks. You know, money laundering is happening already. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's happening on a massive scale. Bitcoin just brings this to normal people also.
Hugo,
you know,
what were you about to say?
The thing they say about taxes, yeah?
Thank you very much. But let's just go to Hugo. Now, Hugo, you were going to pick up on a point.
Yeah, I fear that Amir is making a false dichotomy between normal people and corporations. What happens when you empower normal people with unfettered power, with no compulsion towards any form of responsibility, is that they turn into corporations. I mean, all this is doing. I mean, this is blowing apart existing structures, and there's a lot of good to that in many cases. But what it does is it frees up the development of new existing structures that are much less fettered and have the capability to act in a much more malign way.
So do you really believe that we would have had the Age of Enlightenment, the scientific revelation, the Age of Reformation, if we had a surveillance state everywhere, monitoring our every moves, thoughts and feelings? You know, the whole point is that we have a surveillance state which is stopping
every one of those things you just
to grow. General purpose computing, do you think that would have succeeded?
Every one of the things you just said. I mean,
computers are regulated. These are new technologies that have to grow.
They were all funded by systems.
3D printing, that's why Cody is printing guns.
Can I just jump in here there, gentlemen, and I really just want to talk about how this is going to benefit, as you know, we were talking about normal people on the ground. It just seems that Bitcoin seems to be out of touch, or it just seems that it's not accessible to people on the ground. But so how do you actually get hold of a Bitcoin? Well, really there are two ways, and both are a little complicated, so bear with us here. Now, first, bitcoins can be bought through online exchanges using real currency. Now, a user account is set up, and bitcoins are then credited to an electronic encrypted wallet. And then there's what's known as mining, and in short, your computer helps out the Bitcoin network with things like transactions and security. Now, the rewards are for an individual are slim, but groups can combine their computing power and share the profits. Now, Amir, I want to bring you in. This sounds really like it's something for an elite group of people.
You actually missed like the main way to get bitcoins. Offer services and people pay you for those services. And there's also another way, like meet with people and trade bitcoins. You know, actually the Bitcoin infrastructure, you just put it into two boxes, but it's actually like many different things that will differ in various ways. There's no one way to get bitcoins. It's actually proper economy. It's like saying, oh, there's one way to get euros. You go to the bank. But no, there's also people and cash exchanges and businesses and everything. It's a pure proper economy, you know.
Now, we've been getting plenty of reaction from you on our Facebook page. Flint O'Neill Fernandez says central banks have just started resorting to demand management monetary policies properly. A mass move to bitcoins would be awful. Brendan Sullivan tells us anything that takes power away from central banks is good in my book. And Nandra Amer adds, we can trust the system, but not the hackers. Pavan, I want to bring you in here, Pavan. She mentioned hackers. We did see Bitcoin's website getting hacked on Wednesday. Talk us through security here. How secure is investing in Bitcoin?
Well, when you look at technology, the technology is pretty much secure. In fact, when you look at public key cryptography, these are very secure technologies, but then goes an old dictum that nothing is hacking proof. Well, it could take you a lot of time, but technically everything could be potentially hacked. But be that as it may, currently it's pretty much secure for you to go and invest in bitcoins. The problem is you'll have to be alive to the accompanying risks that could potentially be visiting you. Internet has made geography history. In this boundaryless space, these bitcoins are nothing but digital denominators of value. In the event there is a diminishing of value or utility of such denominations, where are you going to go? There's no answers. What happens if there's a dispute pertaining to the delivery for payment or otherwise of bitcoins that doesn't get happened according to expectations or according to transactions? You are going to be in a pretty much no man's land, because the concerned legal issues have not yet been worked across. And while this community has done remarkably well to come up with such a huge, vibrant economy, which is something like a miniature parallel to the real world economies, the fact is a lot of homework needs to be yet done by this entire community in terms of providing efficacious, effective remedies for redressal mechanisms should there be disputes. Also, we need to have some kind of a dispute resolution mechanism. Like under the domain name system, we have the Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy, which is online, which is done by the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Something similar may have to be done here, primarily to give that kind of comfort factor to people that in case if you have a trouble tomorrow, this is what you can actually resort to. Also, you'll have to be careful that while the bitcoins are going to be in your particular system, if your system is going to be weak in terms of security, please understand the entire system is almost that much strong or weak, dependent on the weakest link. So everybody has to contribute in this P2P economy networks that we're currently talking about, but lots of work has to be done. These are still initial years. If we were to write a book on bitcoins in about another 10 years, we are potentially only the first chapter of the 10 chapters that we could write in the book.
Really what you're saying then is your financial security really depends on you, is your own responsibility. Hugo, we witnessed a crash when Bitcoin was hacked on Wednesday. Now the value went down from $147 US to $108 US, and now it's climbing back up again. But it's not that big a crash. But does that mean that Bitcoin has arrived now as a reputable, trusted currency?
Well, no, I mean, Bitcoin's been bouncing around madly in value from the word go, and I think a lot of the attention, the press attention, indeed it's what attracted my attention, is to do with this sort of quite sudden and both sudden and sustained rise in value. However, I think I mean, people look to Bitcoin to do two very different things. It can be a store of wealth, well, three different things. It can be a store of wealth, I think that's great. It can be a means of transaction, I think that's fantastic. I love the idea of people in parts of the world where there are currency restrictions. Someone in Zimbabwe being able to get money in and out in a way that current systems don't allow them to. I think that's wonderful. However, at the moment you have Bitcoin also being used as a vehicle for speculation, which is not really the point. May cause a surge, may cause a collapse. I think it's quite important to maybe try and look beyond that in order to understand what Bitcoin is and what it offers.
Amir, I want to bring you in here. Look, what you're saying is certainly very idealistic and very honourable in terms of trying to get the online community helping each other out. But security, again, we're talking about financial security here. How do you talk to someone? How do you tell someone, look, invest in Bitcoin and your money will be safe. You will be safe.
To be honest, I'm not telling people to invest in Bitcoins. Like, actually, I advise people against investing in Bitcoins, and only like if they want to try it out to put what they can afford to lose, you know. But in terms of the security stuff, I think like actually the security policy is better than what we currently have. Because right now I have to trust the system and I don't know like who is doing what or what's happening inside there. But it's something really powerful when I have Bitcoins on my computer that nobody else can access, and I send it to someone. But
that's the problem. People can
internet.
Access it, though, Amir. People can access.
No, not my Bitcoin.
Your virtual
if I have
wallet.
Bitcoins on
if
my
it
computer.
Is open,
no,
if your virtual wallet is open, someone can hack into your computer and get hold of it.
If I have Bitcoins on my computer, only I can access them, and I can send it directly to someone.